You've tried to stay busy, but even the quietest moments keep pulling your heart back to them. You've gone out with friends, you've thrown yourself into work, you've sat at red lights gripping the steering wheel tighter than usual, trying to shake off the wave that hits out of nowhere. But nothing really helps when a part of your heart still feels open. You still think about what you said, what you didn't say, and what you wish you could go back and do differently. This is what it feels like when love still lives. And whether you admit it out loud or not, God sees it. You keep asking yourself why it still hurts, why their voice is still in your head, why something so simple, like a random place or scent, stirs up emotions you thought you'd buried. You're not reaching out, but your heart still reaches. You're not saying anything, but your spirit still speaks their name in the silence. Why does it feel unfinished? Why do you still care this much? The truth is, God sometimes keeps that love alive for a reason, and ignoring it won't quiet it. So before you blame yourself for feeling too deeply, pause for a second. Maybe that lingering connection is a message from God, not a mistake. Let's talk about the signs He's still sending, because love doesn't always leave just because someone did. 1. When random moments make you cry. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit. You've been doing fine all day, holding everything together, keeping your mind busy with tasks and distractions. Then out of nowhere, something small triggers a wave of emotion so strong it brings tears to your eyes. It could be a scent, a song, a product on the shelf, or just the quiet pause in your mind that opens the door to that memory. In that moment, you don't know whether to fight it or let it flow. You're left wondering why something from the past still hurts so much. God often allows moments like that not to break you, but to reveal what still lives inside of you. That sudden ache is not a setback. It's an indicator that something within you is still being processed, healed, or held with significance. You may think you're regressing, but what you're experiencing is God keeping a space open in your heart until He finishes what He started. When love still lives, God doesn't rush closure. He lets it breathe. It's confusing when everyone around you has moved on or expects you to be over it. You might even question your strength or your sanity for still being affected by what feels like a distant memory. But you're not weak. You're someone who loved deeply, and God is not judging you for that. You're not alone in feeling the weight of something that still lingers without warning. So, if a random moment cracks your heart open again, don't brush it off too quickly. That moment may be God gently showing you that the love still matters to Him too. He sees every tear, even the ones that surprise you. This is one of the quiet ways He confirms that the love never left your heart. And maybe, just maybe, it's because He's not finished with it either. 2. When you can't explain why you still care. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. You've told yourself again and again that it's time to let go. You've done the talking, the crying, the trying to heal, and the praying to move on. But even after all that, your heart still flinches at their name and still whispers a quiet prayer for them when you least expect it. It's not about wanting them back. It's about something deeper that hasn't died no matter how much you try to bury it. God sees that lingering care not as weakness, but as a sign that your love wasn't shallow. When your prayers for them rise up uninvited, He's showing you that some parts of your heart were built for more than a season. That kind of love endures for a reason. Sometimes God keeps that care alive because there's still something He's doing with it, something you don't yet see. You may feel torn between what your heart still feels and what your mind tells you to do. You wonder if you're being foolish for caring about someone who may not be thinking of you. But you're not wrong for feeling this way. God never shames you for holding on to something real. He honors love that comes from a sincere place. This is not just emotional residue. This is a message. When you care without forcing it, when your spirit prays without planning to, it's often God's way of showing you that love still lives in a meaningful, spiritual way. Don't ignore that. Pay attention to the care that won't go away. It may be carrying a purpose you haven't yet uncovered. 3. When the smallest reminder still hurts. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is as strong as death. You thought you were finally making progress. You were getting through the days without crying, and your mind felt clearer than before. But then a song came on, or a smell drifted through the air, or a phrase hit your ears, and your heart dropped. All those memories came rushing back, almost as fresh as the first day they were made. You didn't expect it to hurt so much anymore, but it did. That sting is not just emotional, it's spiritual. God sometimes lets those reminders stay because your heart hasn't closed yet. He doesn't rush what still needs time. And when the love you had was deep, it leaves a lasting imprint. A song or a scent can become a window to a season God is still using to shape your future, even if it's currently part of your past. You may question why something so small can unravel so much. It makes you wonder if you're behind in your healing or if something's wrong with you. But that's not true. It just means your heart has layers, and healing is not always a straight line. You're allowed to still feel it. You're allowed to not be okay yet. When the smallest thing still makes you pause or cry, don't ignore it. That pain might be God's way of showing you that your love wasn't ordinary. It was strong and sacred. It might still have a reason to echo, and God is not finished writing that chapter yet. For when you still wonder if they're okay, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Even though you're not in their life anymore, you still pause and think about them. You wonder if they're eating, if they're okay, if they're mentally or emotionally surviving whatever life is throwing at them. You don't talk, but they stay on your heart. It's not about romance, it's about compassion that didn't die with the relationship. God sees that, and He honors it. When He allows that concern to remain, it's because He's reminding you that love isn't always about getting someone back, it's about seeing their humanity. Sometimes God leaves your care in place because you're the only one praying for them, covering them, or wishing them well behind the scenes. That's not weakness. That's love in its purest form. It can feel confusing to care about someone who hurt you, disappointed you, or walked away from you. But love doesn't always switch off like a light. You may feel like you should have hardened by now, but your soft heart is exactly where God wants it to be. You're not wrong for still wanting good things for someone who's no longer close. So if you find yourself quietly hoping they're okay, let that be a reminder that love still lives in you in a real and powerful way. That concern may be part of a bigger spiritual picture God is working out through your heart. He hasn't wasted your love, it still matters. 5. When silence feels too loud. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. You can sit in a room full of people and still feel like something or someone is missing. Their voice doesn't echo in your ears anymore, but somehow you still feel them. You walk into spaces and remember where they once stood. You lay in bed and their absence is louder than any noise in the world. The silence speaks, and it speaks of them. That haunting quietness is sometimes God's way of allowing space for reflection and listening. When love still lives, silence doesn't feel empty, it feels sacred. God uses those moments to remind you of what was real and meaningful. He speaks in the quiet to help you recognize what still sits in your spirit, even when the world is silent about it. You might feel like you're going crazy for still sensing them in places they haven't been in for a long time. It messes with your peace, and you feel like you should be further along by now. But feeling their presence doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And God understands that loneliness isn't always about being alone, it's about missing someone specific. When their absence becomes its own kind of presence, don't ignore it. That's God drawing your attention to the reality that love hasn't vanished, it still echoes. He lets that space speak, not to torture you, but to teach you that some connections still hold spiritual weight even in silence. If this spoke to what you've been quietly carrying, know that you're not alone, and you're not wrong for still feeling it. God sees what your heart hasn't been able to forget, and He's not finished with what still lives inside you. If the content inspired you, please like, comment, and subscribe to Pure Inspirational so others can be encouraged just like you. Thank you for being here and trusting God even when it's hard. Be blessed.